Join our celebration of Black History Month, only on New Thought Media Network. New videos every day at 6 a.m. Mountain Time, or watch anytime on our YouTube channel. 28 unique Black History moments, every day in February. Only on New Thought Media Network.
Welcome to Black History Moments. My name is Aisha Mason, and it's my privilege to share my memories of Reverend Homer Johnson of the June Cobb Church in Los Angeles. It was the 1980s, and I had just been introduced to New Thought when I learned what a spiritual practitioner was. And in an instant, I knew that this was my calling. I was really anxious to get started with my studies so that I could become licensed. And there was just one catch. You had to belong to a church for 2 years. And at the time, I just wasn't into joining churches. And it was even hard for me to imagine sitting in a pew on Sunday mornings on a regular basis. But a friend of mine suggested that I check out a minister named Homer Johnson at the June Cobb Church. And this was a little church that was located in a residential neighborhood. It was just off the freeway. And the first time I entered, I noticed that one of the stained glass windows was broken. There were a few elderly people sitting in the pews. But there was an energy in this space. There was a presence that I could feel. And there was this minister, an elderly Black man, speaking from the small stage with this large, round, stained glass window of Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. Even as he spoke New Thought principle, Homer's spirit evoked a sense of Black church that is deeply rooted in Southern tradition and culture. There was something rich and soulful, a synthesis of both truth teachings and traditional faith that stirred something deep in my DNA. I actually cried. And as one of my friends said, Homer brought New Thought alive. It changed my life. So 1 week later, that following Sunday, the woman who couldn't imagine belonging to a church joined. And the two friends that she brought with her, they joined too. And without a moment's regret. There was nothing fancy about Homer's services. They lasted only an hour. Homer frequently forgot to ask for the collection. He needed to be reminded by his beloved wife, Alice. There were no theatrics, no drama. There wasn't a choir. There was just this beautiful courtship of Homer and spirit, this intimate conversation and teaching that we all became a part of. At some point, he would transition to prayer and he would begin by saying, "Let us go upstairs." And we would journey with him up into this higher state of consciousness. Let us go upstairs. And I remember when me and my friends, we would start to descend into that human behavior, gossip or banter, and we joke about leaning over the balcony. But because of his gentle teaching to stay upstairs, we resisted the temptation to descend into the basement. And we had a commitment to keep our thoughts lifted and our conversation high. When I spoke to Homer about my reservations about joining a spiritual community, he told me, where you find human beings, you will find human consciousness. And in just that moment, I experienced a healing. I guess you could say I spiritually matured a bit because I realized people come to church to be healed, to awaken. And that process never ends. To be at peace in a church, in a spiritual community, in the world at large, is to be at peace and by accepting our humanness as well as our divinity. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to fall down and learn and grow and then begin again. So I learned from Homer that spiritual maturity is being able to accept the fact that that's how we are, that's how we grow, and still remain compassionate to other people and to myself. By the time that Homer made his transition, his church, that little church, was packed every Sunday with a multi-generational community of people who came to learn new thought and to experience the consciousness of a mystic. Because Homer spoke from the soul of this new thought teaching. It's unlikely that you will find any information about Homer Johnson on the internet. And he did not author any books. The recordings of his sermons have been lost over time. And yet I know that Homer is alive in all the people that he touched and all the lives that those people have touched. And so it is with deep gratitude that I lift up the name of Homer Johnson. Reverend Homer Johnson, Ashe.
Thanks for watching New Thought Media Network's Black History Moments. Join us every day in February for a new Black History Moment. Live at 6 a.m. Mountain Time or on our YouTube channel. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.